My all-time favorite author, Mark Alling, in the book As a Man Thinketh, says, "Circumstances doesn't make a man, it merely reveals him to himself." When I was entering grade 10, just like every other student, I got new things for school. One of those things was a new shoes. And I made sure to choose a shoes that I thought was going to be strong and would last me the entire year. So I chose one of those shoes that had a leather look, rugged, and stitching around the edge at the front. You could also see the thick cord that was used to stitch the shoes on the bottom of this rubber. And I went off to school like every other student. But something strange happened. About halfway through the school year, the bottom of the shoes started to wear down because I had to walk to school. It wasn't a long walk, 15 minutes, but back and forth on the asphalt every day, the shoes started to wear. And it wore so much that the stitching started to get damaged. At some point, maybe about February thereabout, the stitching became loose and the shoe's bottom started to fall off. Now, I didn't have money. My parents didn't have money to buy a new shoes at that time. So to continue to go to school and not stop, I would have to be creative. And luckily for me, I had some skills. My mother was a seamstress. She had this assortment of needles. And the pack of needles with the small, tiny ones up to the big ones. I chose a big one and I used thread. And I remember the first day I had to use like a stone to push the needle through that thick rubber to get it to the other side, to stitch the front of that shoes back on so I could go to school. But by the time I got to school, this thread, which was thin, started to wear again. So by the end of the school day, the thread had become loose and the shoes bottom was falling off. I had to go home and stitch it again that evening. A lot of pricks from needle into my thumb, and using spoon and knife and fork and whatever I could get to get that needle through. And I did that every day. I remember some days I went to school and by the time lunchtime came, the stitching had become loose and the shoe's front was flapping. So I couldn't go to lunch with everybody else because it was going to be seen that my shoe's front was dropping off. So I had to wait until everybody went to get lunch and then I'd hurry up and go when the lunch line was clear to get lunch. Or I'd ask somebody to get it for me. I remember some days to go home was a challenge. I had to wait till everybody was gone. I was the last one from the classroom because I was embarrassed to go with my shoes front dropping off. And when I was walking, I had to walk with my foot gliding. I couldn't lift my foot up and down like everybody else because it would be flapping, the front of the shoes flapping off. It was challenging. And I'd go home and I'd stitch it again to come back the next day. I did that for weeks before I could get a new shoes to go to school. But I did it and I showed up to school every single day. That didn't cause me to miss school. The circumstances that I faced didn't change who I was. It showed how resilient I was even at a tender age of 15. I had made a promise to myself when I arrived in Torspen, that inner city community, that I wasn't going to stay there. I was not going to be poor. I was not going to turn to crime. I was going to use education to elevate myself and my family. And I resolved, made up my mind to do this, and nothing would stop me. I don't know what you're facing. You might be having some difficult circumstances now and you want to give up. Don't. You might be facing some embarrassing situation. You may have to do something embarrassing to get through to the next day. You may have to be doing a job, such as selling in the market, selling on the street, begging. You may be a janitor. You may be, something that nobody wants to be. You may be selling on the streets in New Kingston. You want to give up. Well, don't. Keep doing what you need to do to get you to the next level, to get you to the next step. You have a dream. Between you presently and that dream are difficulties, but you have it within you to get there. You know, greatness is not something that you're born with. Greatness is this: it's believing something, having a goal or a dream, and resolving to do whatever it takes to get there. That's it. Have a dream, and whatever the obstacle, do it. Get up every day and do that difficult thing, that embarrassing task, that difficult job in difficult circumstances to get you or your kids to that destination. You can do it. Don't give up. I've done it, and you will do it too.